Hi, I'm Chris Lee, and this is Virtually Speaking. Joining me today is Brent Bushnell, the CEO and co-founder of the amazing Two Bit Circus. He's a huge name in tech, games, and building connective, immersive environments. Brent's award-winning micro-amusement park in Downtown L.A.'s Arts District, Two Bit Circus, was named by Fast Company as one of the most innovative game companies of 2020 and received TripAdvisor's Traveler's Choice Award, rated in the top 10% of attractions worldwide. And Brent also won Popular Mechanics' Breakthrough Innovator Award. Two Bit Circus combines virtual reality, interactive gaming, escape story rooms, a 100-seat interactive game show theater, a robot bartender, and so much more. They've attracted huge celebrities and a ton of press, being featured on the Today Show, in People magazine, Forbes, the Wall Street Journal, Fast Company, Wired, and much more. Brent is an electrical engineer, a software developer, an immersive entertainment and human engagement expert, a STEAM authority, and pioneer in virtual reality and mixed reality, starting with some very early major VR projects years ago with the likes of the NFL and NASCAR. Brent was also the on-camera inventor for the hit TV show Extreme Makeover Home Edition, and is responsible for well over 70 million views on the web, working with major brands, including building a huge Rube Goldberg machine, creating a viral music video for the band OK Go. So please join me now with the very fun and incredible Brent Bushnell. Well, hello, Brent Bushnell. Thank you for joining me here today on Virtually Speaking. How are you doing, sir?
I'm great, Chris. Thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. I am so excited to have you. I've been looking forward to this. You are such a fun guy in so many ways. Of course, your job is fun. Your whole life has been fun. You grew up in the house of Atari, and you have created fun experiences and connection points for so many years. So what a fun life. Look at you. You have the bow tie on.
This is my carbon fiber bow tie. If you need that intersection of sort of strong and lightweight, this is your model.
I love that. Yeah, I knew you were maybe going to wear a bow tie. I thought you probably would, and I almost wore mine, but then I was like, I can't wear one if he's wearing one. I can take away.
No, hey, more the merrier, man. I'm all in on bow ties. I would love nothing more than more.
And you have the red nose somewhere nearby, I think.
Oh yeah, I have clown noses, all over the place. So, in my car, in my office, right next to my desk, always.
Seriously?
Yeah.
If you get pulled over,
dude, I'm a trained clown, right?
Yeah, I do. And there you are in your own circus that you've built.
This is our micro amusement park. I'm in downtown Los Angeles. This is a 50,000 square foot building. It's got both our headquarters as well as 38,000 square feet of entertainment. This is dedicated to really the future of entertainment, right? We've got a virtual reality arena, a 100-seat interactive game show theater, a carnival midway, what we call story rooms, our sort of version of escape rooms, and a full bar and restaurant. In fact, this is the bar right behind me.
And that's a robot bartender.
There is a robot bartender over my shoulder here, right next to that LED tree, and that guy will Guillermo del Poro is his name. Will make you a full-blown cocktail.
So I mean, this is amazing, and I've been there, and it's been probably eerily silent every time you go in there. This 2020, I don't know what day you closed down. It's probably right around March 13th, which was a Friday.
Friday the 13th. Actually, I remember that was the day that I was like, we sent out an email saying, hey, we're going to be open. And we just happened to have a $30,000 thermal imaging camera. And so we were like, okay, we're going to take everybody's temperature as they come in, and maybe that will be safe. And then we started reading about all the asymptomatic transmission, and I started to get really nervous. We closed the Saturday morning. We sent out another newsletter saying, wait, sorry, reverse, delete, undo. We're closing, and then LA City said you got to be closed by the 16th on the city. So we actually closed before we had to, but we and have been closed ever since. But I think one of the things, sort of directly relates to, this park and my work is around social, right? My whole life has been bringing people together, live entertainment, live experiences. I'm a strong believer in live. Humans, we are social animals at our core. And I think this pandemic has really reminded folks, like as they go nuts, alone in their homes or with just their normal, crew, that we like to be out together, and that, I actually think of being in entertainment, having one foot, frankly, in mental health, having to, get people together, having fun is its own outlet. Play is important.
Yeah, play is important. And, you guys have shifted very well as an organization. You've put a lot of online content out there, and you've even created an online experience kind of as similar as you could get to really showing up at the park. And I know that my family took advantage of it for a birthday party. And man, that was just so fun to have so many people involved in a game show that you created online. Is that really kind of what you guys have been focusing on, is just kind of trying to get people together still via Zoom or a similar platform?
So we actually intentionally went away from Zoom. One of the things we found was that people get a lot of Zoom fatigue, right? If you're on video all day long, that itself is exhausting, right? You want to be able to relax and not have to worry about your hair or whatever. And so our game show is an extension of what of our 100-seat interactive theater here in the park. It was something we always wanted, even before the pandemic, was for people to be able to play from home or to play in the park. You could come for the live experience, but that you could also stay home. And so that just shot to the top of the list when the pandemic started. And we've been iterating it ever since. We do tons of shows now. We both do a public show every Thursday at 7 Pacific time. But then we also do, as you mentioned, birthday shows. We got team building. We're doing a whole white label solution we just launched with Main Event. It's been the happy hour for conferences. So, we're bringing a fun way for people to be able to get together. It's interactive. You're playing along with the game show. The host can respond. So it's a ton of fun, high energy, a really good hour of entertainment when you're in lockdown.
Yeah, and you're right. We actually met with all the people in Zoom before we joined into the game show. But you're right. In the game show, there is no cameras. It's just a chat room where everybody can kind of chat along, but everybody also is playing along by answering questions that the game show host, is basically asking us, and it's kind of keeping tabs and tally how well we're all doing. It's really fun.
And then we can send invites to, you, Chris, and Annalie, to join as panelists. The people at the top of the leaderboard join as panelists. And so if you want to, you can join on video and be, sort of a focused participant, a focused contestant. But we do also, it's built to not require it.
Yeah, it was really fun. And I know you've got a lot more of that coming. Obviously, in 2021, you're expecting to be able to open those doors again.
One of the things that will be interesting, we will both continue to operate this play from home game show, but I think that the event landscape is going to shift to a hybrid model for the foreseeable future. And just like we have accommodations for disability, right, ADA accessible stuff, I believe that a person who is more susceptible to viruses is going to need to be accommodated. And so hybrid events will say, hey, I'm an event planner, I'm throwing an event, and it's going to be live at Two Bit Circus. But also, if you don't want to come live, you can play from home and be a part of the show. And so that there will be this sort of connectivity between the live participants and the virtual participants, which I think is going to be here to stay for a while.
Yeah, and it's something that everybody's getting a lot of practice in right now, is how to manage that side, what platforms they like, what things are working, what things aren't, and how to keep everyone's attention when they're not at the event. So
And I really do think they need to be thought of as two distinct events. The virtual has to be awesome and stand alone. The live has to be awesome and stand alone. And then all the better that there's some connectivity between them.
Yeah. And so, really going back to the beginning of how you got, into this world. You grew up, the first of many boys. You have a lot of brothers.
Huge family.
Yeah, you have, and your dad is Nolan Bushnell, who created Atari. So this must have been just an incredible childhood. We've talked about that a little bit, but just share with everyone here kind of what that was like and what happened to you. You must have just been a video game pro. You must have just been playing a lot of video games and getting obsessed with this type of, fun.
You know, it was amazing because, you know, for us, it didn't seem like, you know, that was normal. So we didn't think that it was anything special. But, you know, looking back, you know, my dad's a big kid, you know, he loves games and play. And so he was constantly, you know, immersing us in that stuff. And, you know, we would follow him to work, whether that was at Chuck E. Cheese or, you know, whatever new business venture, you know, while he's the most famous for Chuck E. Cheese and Atari, he's had 25 some other, you know, companies, including mapping and all sorts of other stuff. But we would go with him to the amusement park convention, which exists, by the way, you know, in Orlando every year. IAAPA is an entire trade show floor of games and play. And as a kid, that's basically Mecca.
Yeah.
You know, and so everything's on free play. You know, we just had an absolute ball. And, you know, but he also was very firm with us about independence. He was like, listen, I'm going to give you no money. You're going to work for yourself. And, you know, at a really young age, I got a job, you know, at 13 bagging groceries and haven't stopped. I've worked in fiber optics and DNA synthesis. And, you know, I was a sushi chef for a little while, but, you know, the independence that he, you know, sort of raised us with was really critical. And I'm really thankful for.
So did you? So you basically went into kind of a curriculum of, I would guess, mostly engineering and coupled with science, or kind of what was your field in college per se?
I studied computer science and electrical engineering at UCLA. And, you know, but critically did it after having taken a number of gap years. Out of high school, I went to CU Boulder for 1 year and then left for 4 and started my first company doing website design and web hosting, email hosting. We were sort of outsourced IT for a small business before Gmail, before a lot of those tools got, you know, very robust. I was, you know, had servers in a bank vault in downtown LA and was changing hard drives. And, you know, I mean, all the stuff that you can now do with Amazon, you know, in a click of a button. Took me weeks. But what was amazing was when I went back to school at UCLA, I'd had all the problems, right? Database design, operating systems, all of these things I wanted to know. I'd had the problems. So you know, now I was at the front of the class and just drinking it in, still running my company from, you know, the Gen 1 smartphones. Everybody expected me to be in an office, and I was, you know, running my company from the halls of UCLA.
There you go. Yeah. And so eventually you hooked up with a guy named Eric.
Yeah, my co-founder Eric Gradman, also an incredible nerd. You know, he went to USC for robotics, and neither of us follow sports, so the UCLA USC, you know, conflict was lost on us. But we're both trained clowns. Also, we both love play and games. We met actually at sort of a nerd, you know, top secret nerd night where we were showcasing games we'd made for live events. And we just were like, dude, you're awesome. That's neat what you made. And that night we went and made, you know, one of our first interactive art pieces together. And we literally haven't stopped. That was 2008. We've made so many games together. We made, you know, what are now called escape rooms. We did our own version years before escape rooms. We didn't even have the language to describe it. We were like, hey, people, you want to come and do a thing? It's a, you know, it's like a cross between a scavenger hunt and a murder mystery dinner, and you come to a physical location. You know, it was wild to try to even describe it. But so we've made tons of stuff, and then, you know, huge viral marketing stunts, right? We helped OK Go make their big Rube Goldberg machine music video. They got 60+ million views.
How did that happen? You weren't known for Rube Goldberg machines.
No, at the time we were basically this band of nerds in downtown LA that there was this party called Mindshare that happened every month, and it kind of happened in like unpermitted warehouses. It was like a rave for nerds.
Yeah.
and we would go, and in this warehouse there would be different speakers on different topics, from nanotech to rockets to whatever, and then it would break for a cocktail party, and we would bring interactive art to that cocktail party. So we had, you know, we pointed a camera and a projector at a whiteboard that, you know, responded to everything that you did. We took, you know, the circus ball that Eric had used in the circus and mounted it on casters to create a huge trackball. We built, you know, a 3-on-3 space battle game, a cloud that rains tequila, all sorts of crazy stuff. And what happened was OK Go found out about this, like, you know, they're based in LA, and they found out about this band of nerds in downtown and said, hey, you guys, we want to build this crazy thing. You want to help? And so that was where that came from.
What an amazing band, and what an amazing bunch of music videos they did. Was that the only music video that you did with them?
That was the only video we did with them, but it did unlock, you know, so many brands came to us saying, hey, we want a viral video too. You know, this is kind of early viral videos.
Yeah.
And
so how long ago was that video?
That was about 2012. And and on the back of the success of that, we had all these brands coming after us saying, "Hey, not only do we want a viral video, we want a Rube Goldberg machine." And we were like, "No, we were out of the Rube Goldberg machine business," because it was so hard to make that thing. I mean, it took months and 80 takes, and it almost never worked.
Right.
But we did actually make one exception. Google wanted to do a Rube Goldberg, and we were like, "Okay, we just have 3 conditions. We can use lasers, fire, and robots." And they were like, "Oh yeah, that sounds great." So we made
all
it really
3.
fun. All 3. We got all 3 of them in there because the original OK Go one, they wanted it to sort of be stuff that you could have found in your garage. So we did really enjoy making that other one. But we got to bungee jump cars for Chevy. Literally, it bungee jumped its nose into a little kiddie pool. We took 25 black and white cars out to the desert for Die Hard Battery, arranged them like a big piano, and then had Gary Newman play the song Cars on the cars. Just ridiculous stuff. It's so fun. It's so imaginative. Sometimes I can't believe we get to call it work.
Yeah. And then you also really got known for being one of the early people and one of the early persons really working with VR. I mean, virtually.
Yeah, well, so
really became something you were doing some things before anybody even was thinking about it.
So those, as that band of nerds, brands would come to us and say, "Hey, we want to we either want a spectacle stunt thing, give us a viral video, or we have this new tech and we want to make it fun, or we want to make it interesting." And so we did all kinds of stuff for Intel, incorporating their tech into attractions we could take to CES. We, brought a ton of our own stuff to Amazon's holiday party for 5,000 people, so did big events like that. But then Dave & Buster's very early was like, "Hey, we've been tracking this VR stuff. We think it could be interesting. We want to do a test." Right? There were no VR attractions at the time. And so we built a couple of different attractions, a 4-player driving game and a 2-player skydiving game. And both were basically allowed them to be able to test, how long do people want to do this? Do they care about the cleanliness? What are they willing to pay? Is this an operational nightmare? And again, this was 2013, sometime around there. And so there was very little awareness around, what would work and what didn't. And so we had to really, we built our own head tracking before Oculus even had head tracking. So it was interesting.
So now people can come to this incredible place, Two Bit Circus in downtown LA. I know there's plans. I'm sure coronavirus got in the way, but I know there's plans for there to be many more of these locations all around the world.
Well, we picked this site not accidentally. This is about 1 floor of a department store. And so as you imagine Macy's and Sears and all those places going away, we have really designed a format for rapid, replication. And what we proved when we opened is that the appetite for this is massive. When we closed down, we were, Fast Company's most innovative game company list, for 2020. We just won TripAdvisor's top 10% of attractions worldwide. Every Saturday was, more attended than the last. It was really, there's never a good time for a pandemic, but that felt especially bad.
Yeah. And the good news is that you have this situation where there's a lot of people around you in LA who are very creative. There's a lot of gamers, there's a lot of athletes, there's a lot of celebrities. I know Jack Black has come in and really enjoyed playing there and put it on his Jablinski games.
Man, we've had Jack Black, Neil Patrick Harris, Christina Aguilera, Elon Musk. The list literally goes on and on and on. Will Smith and his whole family. It's been a fun, wild ride.
But the point is that it kind of proves that, like you said, that this is what people want to do. They want to be connected. They want to do something fun. They want to be able to play games. They want to be able to look at all these new technologies. I remember there was this one thing. I walked in the door, and I don't remember which time it was. Maybe it was the first time I came, but there was this thing, and it was like, it was an instrument, and I'm a drummer, as you know. So I was just, and my friend was with me. We were jamming on this weird thing that made weird sounds, and the whole park was there for us. And we were like, I don't even know what's over there, but this is it. Like for 40 minutes, I was like, okay, we gotta go to check out. We were going to a concert or some kind of a show, but we had to go. And it was like we didn't even get to even really look at anything else except for the first thing we saw.
I love it. That sounds really engaging.
Yeah.
I mean, we've really, one of the things that I love about this place so much is it's not any one technology, right? This is not a VR arcade. This is not a traditional location-based entertainment facility. We've really scoured the earth for really incredible stuff. We've made our own things. We've partnered with creators to help showcase their stuff. And then we even have every quarter what we call beta night, which is a special evening on a Tuesday night, a slower night, where we open it up to creators to come and showcase their stuff. And locals come and they get to try that stuff out. And the sort of promise of beta night is, hey, you're going to be the first to try it, right? You might get a splinter. It might be a little buggy, but you're going to be right there iterating with the creator. And there's a whole set of people that love to be a part of that process. For sure, it's my favorite night.
Yeah. And then you guys, if you really like something, you can add it to Two Bit Circus. You can buy it, right?
And that's happened multiple times,
yeah.
Where the developers worked on it, they've made it, they've become the best thing at beta night, and then they end up being permanently a part of the park. They stay here and they tweak with it more until finally it's ready to take flight. In fact, one of my younger brothers did that, Wyatt Bushnell, and he got to his arcade, his 8-player driver, to the point where it was the highest earning in the whole arcade, and then sold one to every Dave & Buster's in the country and another like 300 locations worldwide with the Hot Wheels license. So really cool testament to the sort of that cycle from concept all the way through to proven attraction.
Yeah, and there's so many things in there that I want to talk about. And the great thing also is that meeting planners and meeting professionals and event directors and whatever you want to call the person who puts together an amazing event, who are really my customers. They can look at this and say, oh my gosh, I want this at my event. I want you to bring me some attractions so that, I mean, this is really changing what is possible, especially with the Oculus and the VR stuff, that people can literally transform themselves at an event into another world. I mean, you can really do things.
I mean, we've definitely hosted over 100 events here, full park takeovers, all that kind of stuff. But then we've also, brought attractions to other people's events. The recent memory that I just loved, we did a VR skydiving experience at X Prize. And literally you would get into a harness with a VR headset on, and then the harness would lower you down over a bunch of fans so you could feel what it was like to jump from 30,000 feet.
Oh my God.
So really, really a lot of fun. So we definitely love doing stuff at events. And now with our game show platform, it opens up even more options.
And then you have a real actual theater in there, like on the other side of where we're facing right now. That's a theater, and so you can.
It's an interactive game show theater. There's touchscreens on every table. Everybody gets to play as part of the show. You're doing great, Chris. So we're going to pull you up on stage with the podium next to somebody else. You guys are going to compete. So it's a very, I think part of the big transition, that I see in entertainment is one from, classic entertainment was very passive, right? You read a book, you watch a movie, you're this passive observer sort of looking into somebody else's world. Video games were the first time that you had some control over the action, right? For a little while it was just with your thumbs, but now you use your whole body. We can build experiences into this whole environment. I mean, there's in fact secret stuff all over this place that you have to be here in order to discover. And so there's really, technology sort of enabled all kinds of new ways to play. For us, it always roots back to that social, getting people together live, and being able to be part of the show, interacting, not just passive.
Yeah, and with the pandemic, it also, I'm sure, is giving you guys a lot of things to think about as far as how do we get people to connect who are just stuck in their homes, playing games all the time, maybe with each other, but are there some other things they can do besides being a character, just being a little character, on a screen that like all these other people are interacting with, but can you actually be yourself? And can you actually do some things creatively that other people can enjoy? So tell us a little bit about some of your ideas about how like VR and kind of that interactive world is shaping itself going forward.
So, VR is in this larger class of immersive entertainment,
Right.
and Two Bit Circus is in that class of immersive entertainment, and what the tech has now allowed is to immerse not just your eyes and ears in the entertainment, but all of your senses. We've got VR here, where as you walk, it moves you in the world, right? Video games, classic video games didn't do that, right? You were seated on a couch, even if your character was running around. So the more that you can have what your body is experiencing be what the character is experiencing, fusing those things together, because what that now allows you to do is be Harry Potter, right? And wave a wand and have something magical happen, or to be in the middle of a zombie infestation and have to defend, the freaking village. There a lot of this stuff is actually an incredible workout. You're moving your body, you're docking, you're ducking, you're jiving, you're weaving. That is a immersive entertainment is as close to real life as we can get right now. And remember, real life is incredible resolution, right? This is the best that it gets. Everything else is just an approximation. But what you can start to do is now give people those fantasy roles and allow them to really be that thing, suspend their own lives and jump into this other world. And we all have different worlds that we love, right? You might like sports world. I might like, zombie world, or have a penchant for horror. Whatever the worlds that you love, being able to do it in a more immersive way.
So can you do pretty much the whole body now thing at home? And is there a chance for people to create environments, or are there a lot of environments for people to jump into at home now? Is this something that's going on?
VR in the home is getting amazing, right? Even a couple of years ago, it required a $2,000 computer and special sensors and a ton of space. It was a project to set it up. Something like the Oculus Quest makes that super easy, right? It's the single headset, it pairs with your phone, it really is all pretty turnkey. Not only is the hardware great and accessible, I think the thing's like $400, there's so much great content now, right? There's rhythm games, there's great shooting games, there's great fantasy games. So there's enough content to make you wanna to get it. Nobody bought Nintendo for the hardware. They bought it for Super Mario Brothers. You bought it for the content. It was a vehicle for the content. And finally, the VR content is getting wonderful.
So what are the things that excite you the most about what you guys have done there? As far as the VR and would you say that you have AR or XR there as well?
We have MR, mixed reality, which is a way of talking about one of our experiences, you're going through a maze in VR, you've got your gun, but at a certain point you are, going in an elevator and the ground starts to vibrate, or you're looking out over a huge expansive cavern and you feel wind on your face. Those things bring, additional senses to the table. In general, more on sort of immersive entertainment, the thing that I think, whether you're talking about VR, AR, mixed reality, immersive theater, which is another incredible category where, rather than sitting in a seat facing the stage and watching the theater's all around you, and maybe you get a one-on-one moment with an actor who is responding to you in real time. And this is part of what is so special about immersive, is that it's personalized to you, Chris, right? Your experience, you today, and you can ask them questions and they will respond. It gets closer to how we normally interact with the regular world, right? But now you're interacting with the tools you understand, but you're in a fantasy narrative, and that's really powerful.
That is so awesome. So tell me a little bit about, is there anything that's coming up in the future that that you haven't kind of had there at 2-Bit yet, you haven't really played with yourself yet, but that is coming? Tell us a little bit about what you're excited about, futuristic technologies and games that people should all get excited about.
Well, so here's the thing that gets really powerful is, as all of these immersive tools get tested and really, made robust in an entertainment context, we're learning a lot about what works and what doesn't. And that stuff can now graduate to more things, not just entertainment, but therapy and education, training, fitness. There are so many studies now. You will work out harder in VR than you will in real life, right? That the second that we've added some tracking and that immersion, you're going to work out harder, right? So there's already a gym in Northern California that is, called Black Box, that has VR headsets. for learning, right? You will learn things longer if you have the more of your senses that are involved in experiencing it. So the biggest deployment of virtual reality in the world today, Walmart's corporate training, right? For Walmart employees to be able to train. And so what we're going to start to see is education jumping off of the page, right? Jumping out of the classroom into something that you get to experience first person. And it will match more real life. You think about it, the current school format is old and dated and tired and was a product of the industrial era. We are so far beyond that, right? We need to train kids with creativity and design thinking and all of these new approaches that don't require that traditional outmoded approach. And so all of these technologies are going to be revolutionary to those industries.
Yeah, and kids are really learning differently now than they were. I mean, they're not reading a book, they're looking at a screen. So why not put the education in the screen, right?
Yeah, and some of those are even, not just the technology themselves, but the technology allows, right? A great teacher having filmed their presentation for the day, you can watch that at night. And so come to the classroom in order to be able to talk directly with the teacher and have them give you one-on-one instruction. The teacher becomes sort of exception handler. So that's, the flipped learning model. And so each of these now starts to be able to use better, make better use of the teacher, empower the leaders of the class to be able to help mentor the ones at the back of the class. And so you're sort of making more efficient use of your resources. We've actually spent a ton of time in learning and education. Two Bit Circus actually spun out an entire nonprofit. We have a whole 501c3 foundation, and we build K through 12 learning experiences, basically, a whole solution of playful learning. We collect clean waste from companies and package it up as art supplies for the schools. We deploy tool benches for maker spaces, train the teachers. And at this point, we're in over half the schools of Los Angeles, as well as 80 other countries, chapters in 80 countries. So it's really an incredible organization. We just had our anti-gala. We used our game show platform to throw that. But we've really seen firsthand how much education is changing, and it's really exciting.
Now, what's this deal with you burning yourself up? You like to put on fire suits and catch yourself on fire. Is that so, really?
I run a high-tech circus. Fire has got to be involved. So if you think after we did a bunch of the corporate events and before we opened the park, we had a traveling carnival, and we traveled that carnival for 2 years. Huge event, 120,000 square feet, right? So multiple football fields in size, tons of immersive entertainment, one half all the immersive entertainment, one half hands-on projects for kids to learn about science and engineering. And the message, kind of was, hey, we built all this stuff. It's not that hard. You can too. Here's how. But my favorite attraction there was the dunk tank flambe, where if you think of the classic dunk tank where you throw a ball and fall in water, we were like, yeah, water's okay, but fire is awesome. So you're immersed in a fireball, but you don't die because you're wearing a fire suit.
Yeah, you were wearing a fire suit. How many times did you do that?
I have done that now, oh my God, more than I can count.
Wow.
Over 10 times. But I'll never forget the first time when we've been talking about the dunk tank, we're talking about the dunk tank, and then finally we built it, and they were like, okay, Brent, there you go. And I was like, oh man, really? Okay, somebody else does this yet? But it is very safe. We're nerds after all. We do, the fire marshals come in there, really loaded for bear, and then they see that we've got all the, boxes checked, and then they are total pyros.
That's so cool. Yeah, they wanted to do it too, right? The firemen?
They love it. They'll stay there all day. The kids are throwing the balls. I mean, they just go nuts.
Oh, that's great. You got automatic people to be there for security and volunteers. That's awesome.
Exactly.
That's perfect. Amazing. So you, during the pandemic, you had a child. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute joy. I was older in my family, had lots, had so many younger siblings, but having my own son has been a really amazing experience.
You're just at the very beginning, my friend.
We're at the very beginning. He's just a handful of months old, but yeah. I didn't even really think I'd like this really young part. I knew I was going to like when we could play together, right. But even right now, when he recognizes me and gets all excited, it gets me all excited, and we just sort of are this like feedback loop of enthusiasm.
Hopefully, I don't know if you're planning on having as many children as your father did, your mother did, but that's up to you. I know you might have a
Yeah.
affinity for that since you came from it.
Eight is eight. It was
8 is
wonderful
enough.
for them. Eight's enough. We maybe we'll do 2 or 3.
Well, here's what I was getting at. Here's my question. So, I love when I talk to people in my job, because I talk to so many people who are inspiring, and so many people I know are in technology. Some of the great speakers I represent and am around, and you know a lot of them yourself. And I think that just, categorically to a man, every single one of these men and women would say to me they are so excited about the future, even in the middle of a pandemic. That, in other words, this is the best time for human beings in the history of human beings to be alive, even though we have
Yeah.
major problems with the planet and with the environment and with all kinds of people disagreeing over things, nations, all that. But honestly, it is the greatest time to be alive as a human being. I know that because I've just met all these people who've educated me about it. But I want to hear your take on that, on why. I'm assuming you agree. You're shaking your head.
I completely agree.
Really well.
Yeah, it's never been a better time to be a human, right? And you look at the long-term data of mortality and the diseases that we're susceptible to, and it is just it's just an incredible time to be human.
But isn't it about technology though? Isn't it about the technology that's coming and that is here already, and we're just figuring out what to do with it? Isn't that the real reason why this is such a great time, because of what it's going to do for us?
I think there's lots of reasons for concern, right? While humanity is doing great, right, we are definitely taxing the planet. And I think with the pandemic, we've seen the results of less air travel, and how, there's lots of meetings that weren't necessary to be in person. And so I do hope that we take away some messages here, as we reconstruct society from the pandemic. But in general, it is unbelievable time, right? And the tools are amazing. You mentioned, the technology's gotten so great that really now you can do the fun part, the creative part of saying, hey, what do I want to do? And then be able to pull all these amazing tools together. It was part of what inspired Eric and I, even in the early days, 2008. The sensors in your phone had gotten so cheap, right? And putting an accelerometer in something was easy. Computer vision was open source. The Kinect made depth sensing cameras accessible. This was tech that used to be, a decade of PhDs, and you had to spend $1 million just to license it. Now it was free. And so knowing that was possible, all of a sudden he and I in a weekend could be like, hey, let's make a 3-on-3 spaceship that's a freaking crazy space battle game with 10 screens and multiple controllers and blah, blah. And then we'd actually do it, and so that is, so it's a really powerful time for creativity, to be sure.
It's also a time where we can kind of go anywhere and see anything. It used to be you had to read it in a book or even watch it on TV. And now you can actually go there with drones and with the VR glasses and with just all of the mapping that's happened. It's like you can create any reality.
You know what I love that you bring that up. And my favorite example is Notre Dame. So Ubisoft, the Montreal game company, captured Notre Dame in super high resolution for their game Assassin's Creed. Now, as a result of having this incredible capture of Notre Dame, the French government, when Notre Dame burned down, the people who had the canonical reference on what Notre Dame looked like was this video game company. Right? They were using those renderings in order to be able to reconstruct Notre Dame. Not only that, those same renderings are now being put into an educational experience, so kids the world over can go and experience first person what it's like to be inside of Notre Dame and not have to fly to Paris, and frankly couldn't even go if they were in Paris anyway, because it's being reconstructed. And so I think that's a really good example of the sort of arc that this technology can sort of take into lots of places: entertainment, education, architecture and reconstruction. It's really, really powerful stuff.
Is there some research that you are aware of, because this is your world? Is there some research that you're aware of that shows that when people are connecting together, even if they're at home and it's through a screen like you and I are right here, is there some research that shows that person is healthier, that person is happier?
So much. And I'm just obsessed with this topic. I mentioned earlier, I really think of myself as having kind of one foot in mental health and wellness, because play is part of us, right? It's not flippant and unnecessary, right? Animals across the kingdom, the animal kingdom play. So Stuart Brown is a researcher for 30 years talking about play. There's a couple of great books. One Harvard sociologist wrote called Bowling Alone. And he did a huge survey across, people getting together live, whether they were church going, union attendance, bowling leagues, card playing, all these different things, and basically found that like attendance just cratered over the decades. And that right alongside that cratering was this increase in isolation and loneliness and dissatisfaction and whatnot. Now, remember, despite the fact that it's never been better to be a human, on the face of, in all of time, and that even tracking perfectly with a decline in social engagement was also a decline in civic engagement. People stopped caring about their community the less that they spent time with each other. And so there's real data there around, the need. Another book called Lost Connections does an incredible job. This guy had suffered from depression forever, tried every single drug that he could get his hands on. And then finally, after all this research, found that the thing that made the most sense and was the most important was having friends. Literally real life connections was the ultimate, antidepressant. There was even a study that said the magnitude of having friends and real life social relationships was as important as quitting smoking. Now imagine the amount of airplay smoking gets in our society and how comparatively little airplay, the importance of social relationships gets. So I really, could talk your ear off about this, but I'm a huge believer, play as a stimulant for creativity, play as a, recipe for happiness. It's, play is critical.
So how young will your child and children be when you allow them to play with video games? Because I know I've asked Nolan this and it was something where, he was kind of all for it. What's your take on that?
I will absolutely let them as soon as they are able, but it's also about moderation, right? Everything in moderation, right? Water is wonderful and I love it, and you can drown, so you got to make sure that you have the right amount of these things. And so while we will absolutely let them play, video games early, we're also going to not let them play video games at all at certain times and force them outside and have unstructured time and go off and, play in the dirt. So a variety of life experience is also a fundamental for creativity. And so we'll make sure we include that in our child rearing.
I remember your dad told me something so funny. He said, look, I would let them play with anything that they wanted to in my workshop, as long as they couldn't cut their finger off, So the hot glue gun.
Jeff Bezos even goes one step further, and they were like, listen, we want our kids to be able to play, and work with heavy equipment and tools. And we'd much rather they lose a finger than, be dull and and uneducated. And I've butchered the quote, but there's really something there.
Yeah. It's about saying yes. And it's about just encouraging creativity, which is obviously something that you've been doing your whole life once you left the house. And, with this whole endeavor that you've created here, this amazing thing.
Well, Chris, creativity is a muscle. Literally, like your bicep, creativity is your muscle. It is something that you can cultivate. It is something that you can change your life to be able to cultivate. Creativity is something that you work at, and we have all sorts of ways in which we stay creative here at Two Bit. And for me personally, I will go to random conferences and just try to expose myself to as much information as I possibly can.
But I mean, when people come to your facility now that you've created, which lives and breathes and is a real place to go, and I can't wait for you to have them all over the world. But when people walk into that, it just inspires creativity. I mean, because everything you're looking at is literally something you've never seen before. I mean, I don't even know what that is behind you. It just looks like it's a really cool lighting structure with some panels, and it just looks
our LED tree. I had to unplug the songbirds so that they didn't interfere with our audio. But yeah, there's even songbirds in the LED tree.
Oh, nice. I was talking about what looks like a hot air balloon, which is the roof of the bar.
This is our deconstructed circus tent that is basically the sort of epicenter of our big circular bar.
I love it, man. Yeah, everywhere you look in that place, it's absolutely amazing.
And the rabbit hole goes deep. You know, you have to know to ask the front desk if you know, about the Tentpole Society, and you know, there's secret stuff all over this place. So we really, you know, wanted to, you know, there's over 20 hours of entertainment in here. So
Wow.
we really wanted to make sure that you couldn't do it all the first time, the second time, the 10th time, and that you never really knew if you'd found it all anyway.
Well, what's one of the secrets? I mean, you got to tell us one of the secrets, because nobody's gonna be able to even go for a while. So, you know, maybe a new one coming, or come on, you can give us a little something.
So on desk.
Oh, your phone. Yeah, darn it.
Yeah, you froze up. You froze up.
All right,
I'll do a clean. I'll do a clean. You've got to ask the front desk about the Tentpole Society.
Is that one of the secrets?
I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll leave it at that. You're being very mysterious, my friend. I mean, I can't wait to come back. It's such an awesome place, and whenever you're speaking, it's so fun because you're so inspiring yourself. So you've created so much to influence people and put smiles on people's faces, and just kind of, you know, inspire them to create and think. And you know, I'm sure that schools must really just want to bring their kids there for fun, but also to kind of inspire them, you know, with science and engineering and computer technology. I mean, do you have schools that are coming a lot?
We've brought schools here before. We've brought the carnival to schools. So we've really done a lot of different approaches. And then we also work with the kids, so they build their own games. You know, think of it like a replacement for the science fair. They learn how to make their own game, and then they showcase it so that everybody gets to play it too. And so it's a lot more fun than, you know, some boring baking soda vinegar volcano.
No offense to all the science teachers out there.
Hey, I know, and in fact, science teachers are my freaking heroes. I love science teachers. My science teacher, my physics teacher from high school, Mr. Woosnam, was an absolute inspiration and part of why I'm here today.
Yeah, and you guys have always been very well associated with STEM, you know, with the foundation, but just in general. I know you've spoken at a ton of STEM conferences, and they always love you, and you're like the most exciting speaker of them all. So,
hey, you know, I mean, it's not everybody who gets to blow stuff up, and you know, you know, speaking of fun nerdy stuff, we have this huge roof, and we were like, what should we do with our huge roof? And we were like, we could put a garden up there, we could put a patio, and we were finally like, that's going to be really hard and expensive. Instead, we painted a huge Google Maps pin. And so what we did is we basically pre-pinned everybody's map. When Google updates their satellite imagery, we will have pre-pinned everybody's map. There'll be a pin already there for them.
Very smart. So, and your dad had something to do with GPS technology. I know that.
Right. We're just bringing it full circle.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Well, Brent, anyway, this is just mind-blowing stuff. I mean, I hope that people get a sense for what this is, because I mean, with any video I've ever seen of Two Bit Circus, it doesn't make the impact that it does when you're there. It's so
there's
big.
Something live is important. Coming live is important. You know, being able to be surrounded by the sights and the sounds and the smells and getting to play yourself is really special. And I cannot wait to be able to reopen this place and share it with everybody again.
Yeah.
I miss the energy.
Yeah, it'll be back soon in 2021 probably. And anyway,
sure.
thank you so much for coming on and inspiring all of us and talking about everything. And just you obviously have really set the tone for everybody who comes in contact with you, that it's going to be fun and that they're going to be inspired. And, you know, being creative is something that they're going to be more creative just having been there or having been in your presence. That's just kind of the guy you are. So thanks for doing that for all of us today.
I appreciate you so much, Chris. Thank you so much for having me. And here's to more fun ahead.
Indeed. All right, sir. Take care.
Thanks, bud. I'll see you.
Bye.